Hello, everyone. I'm Steve DeWinter, and welcome to another ODNT Spotlight interview. And with us today, we have a wonderful author. She does dark fantasy. Her name is Ataska Brothers. Here is a copy of the cover of her upcoming book coming out this fall of 2015, The Soul of a Stillborn. So let's go ahead and let's switch the screen on over and let's talk with Ataska. Hello, Ataska. Welcome to ODNT Spotlight.
Hello, Steve. Hello, everyone. I find it absolutely amazing. We don't know how we look on screen. And suddenly I am getting this chance to chat with everyone and people who are my friends now on Facebook and social media. Now you will know who I am.
Exactly.
And what I look like and how I sound.
Exactly. You're no longer just words on a page. Now we've got
and
a
the
face
name
and
and
we
the
can
picture.
hear you, and we can see how much fun we all are.
I am a dark fantasy writer. I write dark fantasy with romantic elements. I should emphasize with strong romantic elements.
Ah.
And the reason probably half of you have no idea what I'm saying because of my Russian accent. And I always joke that this is my secret of happy family life. My husband has no idea what I'm saying. What can I tell you about myself today?
Well, go ahead and let us know what brought you to the point of writing this novel.
Lots of people are saying that they had a dream, they knew they're going to become a writer since childhood. Well, I had my diaries, I wrote letters to my friends because that was before the internet, before the email, and before cell phones. I actually remember dial phone.
Yes, the rotary.
Dial-up. But I was always a storyteller. I grew up in Moscow, but we had a summer home in a real Russian village. My great-grandmother bought it in 1930s, and the house is probably over 200 years old.
Wow.
And I had my childhood friends, spectacular scenery, picturesque village, picturesque river, and every night we would get together and tell stories. When I moved to the United States, I was amazed that anyone could write a novel. Anyone. I read novels by nurses, by taxi drivers, and once I read a novel by Barbara Michaels, and she was talking about her protagonist attending a writer's conference. And I thought, oh my goodness, how cool just a regular person can attend a conference, writer's conference. Imagine that a few years later, I was at one. I was listening to presenters and I won a contest and absolutely mind-blowing. And once I was in my mid-30s, I actually read a bad book. I don't remember the writer.
It was probably mine.
No! It was just strangely, and I said, well, if this could be published, what if I can write a better one? It took me 12 years, and it's not because I'm a very slow writer, but I basically had to learn English from scratch. When I moved to the United States, I only had about 6 months of classes, English classes, so if something important had to pass between my husband and me, I had to write it down just to make sure that he understood what I was saying. So all those years, I was learning English, then I was learning craft, and I have to say, I might sound strange once in a while, I basically sprinkle my D's and A's at random.
So you had to write everything down. You're like, do the dishes, fold the laundry.
The writing process, I finished the first draft very quickly, but I did not know anything about the rules. I did not know about the structure, the arc, the black moment. So it took a lot of time to learn the craft itself. And when I moved to Colorado about 11 years ago, I immediately joined several writers groups. And I met a wonderful
Good.
person, Lori Wagner Bayer. She's a published writer and she's a literary writer. And when I talked to her about my novel, she said, "Why didn't you write it in Russian? That would be easier for you." And I said, "Well, what would be the challenge?" And since then, we are the best friends, and she took me under her wings and she became my literary mentor.
Very nice. Very nice.
Um,
So,
uh-huh.
so you joined the writing group, the critique writing groups.
Joined several writing groups. I was convinced that I was writing paranormal romance because love story is in the center of the novel. And also, when I still was in Virginia, I attended a workshop by Donald Moss, and he mentioned Pikes Peak Writers Conference as one of the top conferences in the nation. And when I moved to Colorado Springs area, I I remembered that I had it written down, so I immediately joined it. So that's one of the major groups, and I've been to the conference several times, and I have a lot of friends and people who help me with my writing. Um, Another thing I did to help me with, besides critiquing group, I sent my manuscript to several writing contests. And like I said, I didn't know what I was writing. I thought I was writing paranormal romance. And the name of the story was Duckweed, the original. So it's not as dark as The Soul of a Stillborn. And to my amazement, one of the very, very first version of the novel uh, finaled in one of the contests, Haunted Hearts contest, which was
Wow.
a huge boost of my confidence. And I was improving, and several more versions of the story continued to take higher spots, and finally won Paul Gillette with Five Speak Writers. Still took me two more versions of rewrites before I felt it was ready.
You had to
And
find the story in it, right? With the character arc and everything.
exactly, uh, lots of lectures, lots of books. Scene and Structure by Jack Bickham traveled overseas with me. You know, when you have 9 hours on the plane, what is the best way to spend it? And I finished my seventh version last February, and I felt, yes, it's finally ready. And now it's submission time. How do you do that?
Right now,
Thousands of
now comes the hard part, or so you thought.
That's what I thought, unscalable wall of publishing. And I thought that I would finish my novel and then I would start submitting and sending out query letters. And I would have time to create Facebook page and all social media and Twitter while waiting. And while searching for agents, I found one who had very similar taste in books. She likes Hesse, Bulgakov, and I thought, oh my God, I want her to represent me. And she does not take cold query letters. But she mentioned PitMed. What is PitMed? Hashtag? I don't know what hashtag means.
Right. You're still using a rotary phone.
Yes, I'm still using a rotary phone. I still don't have a cell phone unless I go to Russia. I live in the mountains. Connection is not very good.
Right.
Um, so, and by coincidence, PitMed is happening 3 days. In 3 days, I'm creating an account. I'm sitting with my finger on the button, and I'm not sure how. I'm not actually sure. I'm trying to send that very, very first Twitter with hashtag PitMed, and it's not going through. But I I participated in PitMed. I participated in PitSlam. And that's within first months of my querying process. And suddenly I'm getting a lot of feedback. And I realized that my perfect first 3 chapters, which won and final in a whole bunch of contests, they're not the right spot to start the novel.
Oh.
And meanwhile, on Twitter, I find Fantasy Works Publishing. And I read what you probably call their mission statement.
Uh-huh.
They will not change your story. They will fix your grammar and probably put my Th's and A's in the right spot.
Right.
That's what usually it takes. But they will not change your story. I cut my first 3 chapters and I hit send button. And a week later, I'm getting a contract, a publishing contract.
Wow.
So the whole submission process took about 6 weeks. And after I signed the contract, the agent came back to me and she said, 2 days later, and she said, I'm interested, rewrite this chapter. That was one of the chapters I erased. I apologized, and she was very gracious about it, very kindly wished me luck. So that's my
Wow.
That's the story how I got published.
So you were looking for an agent, but you found a publisher before the agent got back to you.
Exactly. And I was not ready to look for the publisher, but like I said, I read the mission statement and it just clicked. I thought, okay, I want to work with these people. This is...
Yeah, if they're going to let you keep your vision for your story, minus the first 3 chapters, because they weren't, it was too soon. The story hadn't begun yet, right? So that is a great story. So tell me a little bit about what, I'll switch over to the other screen so we can see the cover here, what The Soul of a Stillborn, let's see, we'll start with the cover for that. So I love this cover here. You got these spooky eyes in the tunnel in the water and everything. That's pretty good. How did you come about with that cover design?
We just got a new artist and she's brilliant. When I saw the cover, I just loved it. I love the font, I love the colors, I love the river, little creatures living under the bridge called volcanoes.
That's a staple of the fantasy Grimm's fairy tales, and that's a staple of fairy tales is what's under the bridge.
What's under the bridge? What's under the bridge?
So that cover, what came from your publisher, Fantasy Works Publishing? That was very nice, very nice.
And if you ask me how did I come up with the story, that's actually an interesting...
So Ataska, tell me, how did you come up with that story? Boy, you're making my hosting job easy. Just give me the question first, I'll ask it.
I already moved to the United States, and I visited my parents in the summer. And the village and the river are very beautiful during the daytime, and everything turns spooky at night. And I stepped outside, and it was a full moon, and suddenly I heard those screams. Oh, oh!
Ooh.
The bird I never heard before, and I thought, what if a woman who spent all her life in that village comes back and the village doesn't accept her? And that became the ground for the whole story.
Oh, wow.
My main character, what I really I like the horror stories set in our reality. Things happening to ordinary people who probably don't even believe in the supernatural. I wonder where I'm looking. I'm trying to look at you.
That's okay. We're good.
People who don't believe in the supernatural, and suddenly they're thrown into the situation when they can't deny it exists. So I just sent a group of American college students into the Russian village of Vishenki.
Oh.
And the heroine was stillborn and resurrected by a paranormal entity, and she's addicted to supernatural energy. She spends her summers in that little village, and it's natural for her to see paranormal manifestations, creatures coming through the portals. But then she learns about an old legend that a stillborn will have to step into another dimension to stop the invasion of violet light. She does not really believe in it, and she does not believe that she was stillborn and resurrected by a supernatural energy. Until her mother tells her what happened on the day when Vale was born. And she decides she believes that every fourth generation in her family, females of every fourth generation, have paranormal powers. She can take that energy from the portal. Like I said, she's addicted to it. But then she thinks, what if it's true? What if I need to prove that I'm not a soulless monster destined to disappear in another dimension? So she learns her distant cousin, who is part of that group of American college students. She lures her into the village of fishing camp. Bad things happen.
She lures her in?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. That sounds kind of spooky.
May I read a page from the story?
Absolutely. Go ahead, read the page. We would love to hear it.
The setting of the scene, the heroine, Valia Svetlova, must figure out how to save one of her guests who is being attacked by a supernatural entity.
Okay.
The night has lost its charm. The stars had faded. Hushed gloom still smothered the garden, but soon the skylark would announce the birth of a new day. I closed my eyes and inhaled the silence. There was another way, uncharted, risky, but done correctly, it would free me from my worries about Chris's safety. Would I dare? I could not change the past, but I could fix the future. The rules, the fate existed for the weaklings. I had the power to take a stand against the evil. I had not noticed that I had left the garden. The tool shed loomed before me, walls of charred logs, the victims, survivors of the village fire. So be it, I thought. The door ajar, the entrance gaped expectantly. My imagination stirred. A monster's lair, ghost's nest, the first threshold to cross, first lock to pick, first obstacle to overcome. The shivers came in tidal swells. The chilly dampness of the air crept along my body like tentacles of something soft and slimy and deep sea. I stuck my icy hands into my jeans pockets. Heels to toes, I rocked myself. I managed a tiny step. I felt like crawling, pinning every cell of me against the ground, or changing into quicksilver and rolling in a string of swift droplets. Now or never. I took another step and struck a match. The shadows danced like drunken demons. I realized that when the match went out and before I lit another, I would panic. I would go mad. Which is a tool shed, for goodness sake. Furious for my display of weakness, I killed the flame before its time was over. My way, my terms. The darkness fell on me like smothering miasma. I willed myself to breathe.
That was riveting. I liked that. That's excellent. That was great. That was very vivid. I could see everything. And I really liked the dancing shadows with the flame. That was excellent. I loved that part.
Thank you, Steve.
So,
what other dark secrets I can divulge? I can tell you.
So that sounds like a really good book. And so that comes out in the fall. Do you have an actual release date yet? You told me earlier before we started the interview you're in the middle of the edits.
I'm waiting for I went through content edits. That was easy. And now I'm waiting for the second part of my line edits, which is basically grammar. And okay. I believe I already mentioned that I put my these and a's at random. So that might take time. Certain things were easy to learn, like characters' emotions and setting and scene and structure and sequel. People complain, and I see it often because I'm a contest judge myself now. people complain how difficult it is to write synopses. Pike Speak Writers and Pam McCutcheon gave excellent lectures on synopsis. Took me 3 times. I went 3 times.
Right, we can write 95,000 words, no problem, but if we have to condense the story down into 100 words,
right, and after the 3rd workshop, it suddenly clicked. Now I can write any synopsis of any length, and query letter wasn't the problem. So
excellent. So for you, your secret to success has been all the workshops and writers groups and critique groups that you've been to.
Workshops, critique groups, and contests. Basically, if you have wonderful sources of information, why wouldn't you want to utilize them?
Right, exactly. And I never thought of using contest entries as a way to critique what was submitted. I always just entered them to win.
3 kinds of critiquing. Your regular critiquing group, and I have a critiquing partner, another wonderful fantasy writer. Open critique, that's if you want to present your work to people who don't know your work, and because every person critiques differently.
Right.
And contests to me are ultimate critiquing, because people who critique you, they don't know you, they do not have to be polite to you. When I already signed a contract, I already entered contest by then, and I just have to tell you, the last 2 judges said the literary style exemplifies the author's remarkable command of the English language, my English language. And
wow.
Second judge said her command of the English language is astounding.
Wow. Well, you make me feel real bad. I speak one language, English, and I don't do it well.
So, and it took a while before I started getting feedback like that, of course.
Of course. But yeah. You had to learn English first.
I had to learn English first, and not most of the judges are extremely experienced. Once you get something, you huff and puff and you disagree. One judge wrote to me about my very, very first version. If you can see the character's breath in the air, fog, coming out of mosquito, there would be no mosquitoes. Oh yeah, you don't know Russian mosquitoes.
They don't care.
But they don't care how cold it is.
Yeah, because our wimpy, weak mosquitoes here in America, as soon as it gets a little bit cold, they're gone.
But I changed it. If something bothered someone, you better listen. Even if your content judge is unpublished, it's your potential reader.
Exactly.
If something bothers this person, you better think.
Yeah, if you're writing it in English, then your first audience is probably going to be the 300 million Americans. And here, mosquitoes don't hang out when you can see our breath. When you have it translated back into Russian and get a Russian publisher to publish it, you can put the mosquitoes back. Because then you're going to get the angry people going, hey, wait a minute, how come the mosquitoes left? It only got cold.
And one of the things I learned since I signed a contract, blurbs or teasers. Oh my goodness, it's so much fun. I have thousands of photographs, and it turned out that I can basically illustrate every paragraph of my novel, including dialogue lines, twice. And now I'm picking little excerpts from the novel and putting them into my own pictures. So that's wonderful.
I saw that. That is very cool, and especially because you took the picture, you don't have to worry about licensing. It's yours.
It's mine, and I don't have to search all over the internet because I know exactly files where I have it, exactly what I have. And this morning I walked with my dogs, and the pictures I brought, and they're not downloaded yet, pictures of a snake. Wonderful, wonderful head of a snake. I can't wait to see that.
Did you have to get in close to the snake and hope he didn't bite you?
I looked at its tail. It did not seem to be rattled.
He seemed pretty calm.
But I got pretty close. And then I thought, what if it lunges? But then I thought, no, it's No, it's not. It doesn't look poisonous.
So that's great, though. Especially we were talking earlier. You use Facebook a lot as your primary, doing for your author stuff, and using your pictures and doing dialogue and blurbs from your book. That's smart, because that's something that's shareable, that people go, oh, that's cool, and they tell other people, hey, check this out.
I also have a couple of blogs, and every time I'm thinking about writing about dangling modifiers, I just post another picture. I have my cookbook of writing, where I write mostly about writing stuff. But I also have how to spot a portal, and that one is about my next heroine. My next heroine is very reticent, and you probably heard the advice, interview your characters.
Right.
Every time I'm trying to interview Jessie, she says, who wants to know? Who wants to know?
She's closed and secretive.
She's closed and secretive, but I want her to be my next heroine. The next novel is, it could be standalone, but like I said, she was my secondary character in The Soul of a Stillborn. And now she gets her own story, and it's set in New England. So my next trip should be probably to New England to get more photographs.
Exactly. And then you get to write it all off as a tax deduction because it was for work.
Yes, yes. And that blog, I'm blogging from Jessie's point of view. I'm trying to see how her relationship with the supernatural. If she believes it, if she doesn't believe in it.
Excellent. And for those of you watching on YouTube, down below in the description, I will put the links to How to Spot a Portal and my cookbook of writing, so that you can check out Ataska's all about her writing, or you can take a look at her main character of her next book doing all her blogging as if it was herself blogging and everything. I think that's Jessie is your Jessie's Travelogue, How to Spot a Portal. So I will go ahead, and if you're watching this embedded on another site, just click the little button off to the side that says watch on YouTube, and then you can see the description down below, and I'll put all the links to everything that Ataska has here, her Facebook page, her 2 blogs, and her Twitter handle, so that you can connect with her on that and keep an eye out for her upcoming book.
Thank you.
Back to you. This is about you.
One more thing I would like to add. I hear a lot that marketing is such a complicated thing, how people would rather write than promote themselves. So far, I spent summer figuring out the social media, and I'm honestly enjoying myself. One thing leads to another. That's how I ended up on with Steve interviewing me. And like I said, we don't know how we actually look and how we interact with strangers. I go to conferences and I'm sitting at a table talking to strangers. Now we'll have a chance to see how I do it, how crazy or perfectly fine and business-like I am, neurotic or calm. Now I will see myself. So marketing so far, because it's new to me, I cannot complain. I'm thoroughly enjoying the process.
Yeah, I hear a lot of that too from the writers going, I want to just sit and write. But yeah, that maybe get a book written, but that doesn't get a book sold. And if you're trying to do this as your business, then you're going to want to get out there where the readers are, let them know you have it, and interact with them. And I really like the fact that you have one of your main character for your next book has her own presence on the internet. And everything, so that they can actually get to know her before the book is even out. And then that's great. I like that.
And another thing I would like to add, several years ago, the leader of one of our critiquing groups asked us, why do you write? Why do you write? What prompts you to sit down and write? Besides, and I thought, yes, I have a story to tell. Yes, I'm fascinated with the process. But one of the main things, and I have to be absolutely honest, I love the writing community. I've met so many interesting people. I've got so much support. It's mind-blowing how willing everyone is to help you. It's unbelievable. Strangers helping me, friends are helping me. And one of the things I enjoy the most about writing, that's being a member of writing community.
That's good. Thank you. It makes me feel good to be part of the writing community. Because I spent most of my time just hiding out and writing. And so
Well,
now,
I
yep.
see those shelves full, so
Oh,
maybe.
those
And
those shelves,
I
those
have
are all
one
my
novel and
books.
book. Yeah,
But this
exactly.
isn't about me. Those are all my books. But this isn't about me. This is about you.
Actually, I would love to talk about you. Uh, how do you come up with your? You have so many pen names. How?
Oh,
Why?
I originally did a lot of pen names because I was doing books for different reader groups. So I
Mm-hmm.
was doing science fiction, I was doing modern day action thrillers where I actually have some Russian spoken in both of my thriller novels. And the second one is my main character, they go to Russia to stop a plot to assassinate the president of Russia.
Moscow? Where?
Uh-huh.
Where?
They start out in Moscow, Idaho. The start of the book is in
Okay.
Moscow, Idaho, and they end up in Moscow, Russia,
Oh, I
and
love.
prevent an assassination on the president of Russia.
Who is the president?
I made up a name. It wasn't anybody real.
And that's why you decided to go under pen name, so Russians wouldn't find you.
No, actually, I used my real name for the
Oh, that was
political
right.
thrillers. Yeah,
Okay.
I used my real name for the thrillers. I used other names. I tried to write a romantic suspense, so I came up with another name for that. But when I was all done, it turned into a cloning thriller like what Michael Crichton would write. I was trying to write a romantic suspense, so there is some romance, and I have not one but two happily ever afters at the end of the book. But it didn't turn into a romantic suspense. It was so heavily on the suspense side. The romance was there, but it wasn't at the forefront as much. But that was a lot of fun to write. So, and I have since pulled that back over. I'm starting to pull everything back over to my name because it doesn't really matter. I never hid any of my other names and
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
everything.
Your suspense and your adventure novels, they are YA or?
I have some young adult steampunk novels. I went and I rewrote The Wizard of Oz as a steampunk adventure.
Uh-huh.
And there are
Uh-huh.
eight books in that. They're novellas, so they're all 20 to 25,000 words each, and it's serialized, which is, those had done a lot better. I originally had them as two full-length novels, and they weren't selling. But the minute I broke them out into 20 to 25,000 word novellas, now they're selling. I guess the steampunk people like the concept of the serialized novel, which was big in the Victorian era. So they accept that more, and those are the ones that sell. So I'll leave those. I'm pulling everything else back into my full-length novels for that.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned you are doing your own spotlight soon.
I don't spotlight me. No, what I'm doing on YouTube, my 10-year-old son and I, we have a
Uh-huh.
Let's Play Video Games.
Mm-hmm.
And we play video games, we chat, we have a lot of fun, we check out all these different games. One of the games that we play is Roblox, which is an online game where kids can actually make the games that the other kids play. And I had signed a licensing deal with the company and wrote a 6-book serialized novel around Roblox for the company. So I did a media tie-in novel for Roblox and everything. I don't know how much longer I'll have that, but yeah, that's good. As soon as the license ends, the books are gone. They're pulled. That's the thing of licensing. I don't own it. As soon as the license ends, the books are gone. So get them now. But that was a lot of fun and everything. But now I'm moving over to fantasy. I think you're here because we're both in FantasyCon coming up in
On
November.
1st.
Yeah, so the first weekend in November, there's an online FantasyCon, and we're both now fantasy authors. I mostly did science fiction, steampunk, thriller, but I wrote a big fantasy novel that's coming out in November, right around the same time the con starts. And then I went and I turned a big book that everyone knows about into a fantasy novel. So that was a lot of fun. It was A Tale of Two Cities.
Dickens? Okay.
Yes, Charles Dickens. Well, let me bring it. So I went and I took the #1 best-selling novel of all time is A Tale of Two Cities. So I went and I turned it into A Tale of Two Cities with dragons. And I turned basically the #1 best-selling novel of all time into a fantasy novel.
Unbelievable.
So that was a lot of fun.
Tell me something. Do you still have to do a lot of promotion, or basically after 40 books it's cut up and...
No, I still have to do promotion. People barely know I exist. They barely know I exist. And because I've done 40 or 50 books as serialized, and I'm consolidating them into the 9 or 10 books that they become as full-length features, I've been hiding in a hole writing. So now I've started the spotlight so I can start talking to other authors, and you gave me a bunch of great ideas, things I didn't know, because I just want to write. So now I'm done. I'm still writing, but now I'm devoting more time to promotion and marketing. I have a big 3-month tour coming up for my fantasy novel that comes out in November. So I'm starting to get out there and get more and everything, and then I'm doing more.
Is it virtual tour, a real tour?
A virtual book tour. Yeah, so it's an online virtual book tour and everything, and that's for my upcoming fantasy novel. That's gonna
you teach workshops? Do you teach workshops?
You know, not yet. Not yet. I have a lot.
But you're thinking about it.
I'm thinking about it. I probably will do online workshops and everything rather than physical, because it's so hard to just only deal with the people that are right near me. I can do it with the Skype. You know, I can also do a live YouTube feed and just say, here it is, free. Let's do this. And everyone can all log in at the same time. And then because it's happening live, we can utilize the comment section and Twitter and everything to ask questions and back and forth. And so we can make it a worldwide epic live training.
Wonderful.
But that's down the road. That's down the road.
Do you have critiquing partners, critiquing groups?
I don't have any groups or anything that I go with. I have, author friends locally that I've met, and I've built my team of editors that, because I started my own publishing company. Yeah, I'm not looking for other publishers or anything. I'm doing it all myself. And so I basically built myself a team. I've got 3 editors that they go through, and 2 of the editors do all the making sure the story's working, making sure that all I don't drop anything or have any I go down a path
in the plot,
exactly, and the plot stays and everything works out and I'm not repeating myself. And then I have my final proofer that I use, and she makes sure that I have all my grammar and my commas and any missed words or misspelled. I try to get it as clean as possible to her, because I'm on my 4th edit for my big fantasy novel. It's like 380 pages. It's 123,000 words. It's epic fantasy, hey, and everything. So it's small for fantasy. George R.R. Martin writes like 280,000 words, and he's like, I guess I'll be done. But so, I'm on my 4th edit for that, and I think this is, I've got it whipped it into really good shape, and I'm finishing up the edits for that. It'll go to my proofer, and it comes out in November, so I'm excited. I'm going to have to invite you back on the show. We'll switch sides, and then you will interview me officially. Thank you for asking me these questions, but this spotlight's about you. I can talk about me for hours. So how has it been? Because like I said, I became my own publisher and built my own team around me so that I could publish my 40, 50 novels. I mean, I had so much output, I needed to be my own publisher in order to support that. But you're working with a publisher, and it sounds like you're enjoying it a lot.
I'm working with a publisher. When I signed the contract, I was nerve-wracked. I was so scared. I didn't know what would be requested of me. Google Drive. Oh my God, I don't know how to get there. I have Google account, but I cannot open the files. So the first couple of weeks, just setting everything up. And working with people you haven't met in person. That was a novelty concept to me. And after a while, I was able to relax and enjoy myself because wonderful people, extremely helpful, and helping me every step of the way, explaining everything I don't understand, marking regarding the marketing, and the same thing with edits. If I have a question, I am constantly in contact with the publisher.
That's great, and I was thinking to myself, going, boy, you are so lucky that you found so much resources and helpful people around you. And then I realized as I'm talking to you, you're lucky because of who you are. You're somebody that says, hey, I'm a great person, and let's, we help each other. And so it's great that you give off that nice vibe that says, hey, I'm the person that can be helped, and you appreciate it. And that's the difference.
I appreciate
you really appreciate
help, and I welcome it, and I will do anything, and I will be learning. So
yeah. And you were smart. Early on, you went to a Donald Mass seminar, and I mean he's such a good agent. I'm surprised he hasn't written a novel with how much knowledge he has on breakout novels. I have a couple of his books over in my I didn't write it section. But, and I really like, and I met him at Thriller Fest when I went there in 2011. That's a convention for thriller readers and writers.
So you do go to conventions?
I do go to conventions. I mostly hit up local Comic-Con type conventions to find more people to interview. I just went to San Jose Comic-Con and got a whole bunch of artists and comic book creators, and so they're starting to line up and get on these interviews, which I think is great. I'm also going to be trying getting actors and musicians. Anybody who creates something, I want to talk to them. So put the spotlight on them. Sneaky you turning it around on me.
Well, I want to interview you.
Yeah, I will. I will definitely contact you when I have my big fantasy novel coming out in November, so that we can do this and switch it around. I can easily just go moving around and everything. So I can move everything around, and I can make it so that there we go. As I move all my screens, messing myself up. Okay. But yeah, so I can definitely switch it around so that we'll put you as the host, guest host, and we can talk all about me, but that's for another day. This is about you. So is there anything, I noticed here you added a question, because I usually put down, here's some questions I might ask, and you added a question here. What's your secret?
Let's talk about the first one. I erased one of your questions.
Oh, you erased one of my questions. Ah, yes. Should I ask it anyway?
Sure.
What's your favorite snack food? Something that you just can't say no to.
No, that wasn't the question. That was something about what's your favorite food to pig out.
Yes, what's your favorite pig out food?
And I erased it. Well, I was laughing because I'm always on a diet. I start my day with yogurt and coffee, thinking, today I'm going on a diet and I will be good. And then, of course, then it goes down.
And then you're like, all I had was yogurt and coffee. I'm kind of hungry.
Exactly. I only had yogurt. Now I can eat whatever I want.
See,
so ruins my diet.
Here's the secret to a successful diet day. You start out with 4 eggs, 8 strips of bacon,
Hold on,
potatoes,
write it down.
And then you won't be hungry the rest of the day, and you can have your diet.
And yogurt.
It's perfect. And then a yogurt.
So which question did you like?
So it was so what is your secret of a happy marriage? So it sounds like
that's how I started the whole, like I said, 50% of my friends don't have any idea what I'm talking about because of my accent. And that's my secret of happy marriage, because my husband, he just nods. And then it turns out he had no idea what I said.
The secret of happy marriage. You didn't know what I really just told you.
Exactly.
You think I like you right now.
I've been married for 21 years, so.
Very nice, very nice. Yes, I've been with my wife since 1991.
Woohoo!
Long time. Long time. So, is there anything else you would like your readers and people that are looking up you to know? And again, I will go ahead and put all the links to your website, which is at thefantasyworkspublishing.com. You have a website there just devoted to you, a page devoted to you, and then I'll put your Facebook, your 2 blogs, your Twitter things so that people can connect with you and find out when your next book comes out. Because I guess you were saying that you don't have a specific date yet. You know it's happening in the next few months.
In the fall, yeah.
It will happen sometime this year. The year's coming to a close, getting closer.
Well, it's set for the fall, so let's hope.
Excellent. Excellent. So that's good. That's good. So is there anything else you would like our viewers to know about you?
Just, I do hope that I wrote a good book. So we will see. But thank you so much. And Steve, huge thanks to you. That was a pleasure. That was fun.
Well, thank you very much. So let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and close out on the interview here. So hang on, Ataska. Don't disconnect or anything. I'm going to come back to you. We'll chat a little bit more, but let me go ahead and close down this interview here. So I'm going to switch on over and I'll be right back, Ataska. So again, we were talking to Ataska Brothers, an excellent, wonderful author who had to learn English before writing her great English novel. And so very pleased about that. And so right here, The Soul of a Stillborn, we talked about the cover and the spooky, scary eyes of the creature that lived under there and all the portals and everything. So the book is not out yet. Possibly when you're watching this interview, it might already be so. I will try to put a note to myself that when it finally does come out, I'll update the description down below and put the link to it for Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Nook, all the different, Barnes & Noble is Nook, and Kobo. Wherever her publisher puts the book out, I'll put the link probably to the one to Amazon. That's the one people use most here in America, starting off with that. But hey, once again, I'm Steve DeWinter, and thank you for sitting with the chat with me with the Ataska Brothers, another wonderful author, and have yourselves a great night. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to find out when other authors come along, and when Ataska's next book comes out with her other character, Jessie. We'll definitely have her back on the show again if she wants and talk about her next book. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye.